Okay, up next is Greg Biffle. He drives the number 16 3M Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. And Greg, talk about your mindset here coming to Pocono. Certainly you want to get in that win column, and just talk about your mindset here. 6 races to go before we set the chase grid. Certainly each and every week, I know you want to scratch that win off.
Yeah, it's. I think it's pretty obvious for all of us. This has probably been one of our tougher seasons. For our whole organization, we've just gone. Seemed like we're really far behind, and or we were up until this point, and we really shed some light on where our whole organization was. We did a Michigan test prior to Indy, and found what I'm going to call a tremendous amount of speed in our race cars. We learned a significant amount, and went to Indy, and it really didn't pan out the way that we thought it was going to. We ended up 13th there, but still didn't have competitive speeds. Came back and spent 3 hours, half a day at the shop Monday in meetings, looking over our cars and understanding a little bit more about what we may be missing. And this is the fastest I've been this season when unloading off the truck. We were 3rd, 4th quick. That's faster than a lot of guys in qualifying trim, and we're in race trim. So we're really excited about how fast our car is here so far. Qualifying, we didn't in qualifying practice, we didn't quite get the balance exactly where we wanted. And I know some guys that was cooling off, and some guys went late, and we got bumped back. But I think we were about, when I got out of the car, we're about 12th or 14th on speed. So we got a little bit to close in on that. But more importantly, I feel good about where our car is on speed and race trim. It's been a long time. This season felt like it's been 3 years. The first 6 months, how hard we've worked trying to close the gap. But it feels like now weight's lifted off my shoulders. I know we haven't won any races, and we're 20th on the speed chart, I think. But I feel like we're in a much better situation going into these next 6 races than we have been so far.
Thank you, Greg. We'll start over here with Claire B. Lang, and then we'll go to Nate. Go ahead, right here. Zachary. There's another Nate. Go ahead.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Talk about re-signing with Roush Fenway, what you see for the future, what you know of sponsorship, where you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I think a lot of, every driver has, opportunities, and I was very thankful that I had plenty of opportunities when it was coming down to deciding what I was going to do for the future from other teams. And there were some interesting seats open and opportunities. But I think internally what happened is, as I was deciding, what I wanted to do for the future, I think Carl decided that he was going to move on, and that put an emphasis on, whether I'm going to. Then I needed to make a decision what I was going to do, and I felt like at that point, we were doing a lot to close the gap on the competition, and all everybody wants is an opportunity to win and be competitive. I've won over 55 races driving there and 19 Cup wins, and I just felt like we could get this thing turned around, and so I made the decision to stay and be the anchor for Roush Fenway and, do another 3-year contract. Regardless of sponsorship at that point, I made that commitment to stay, and it's been a tough 8 weeks since then. I made that decision a while back, and I'll tell you what, I can't say enough about how good I feel right now about how we unloaded this morning, and after our test, and I think we're on to something, and we're kind of getting back. It feels like we're getting back to where we need to be to compete and win races. And that's the most important thing here, is to win races. Listen to Jeff talk about the win at Indy. That's hopefully us talking about winning here or Michigan or one of these next couple races, because we certainly need it, and we're capable of it. We just have to continue to close the gap. I think before we unloaded here last time, we were 32nd. Now we're 6th. So we're on speed, we feel, or 8th. So we need to work on closing the gap from 8th to 1st, and I think we can do that.
Let's go with Nate, and then we'll go to Chris. We'll go to Steve Richards, and then we'll end with Al Pierce. Go ahead, Nate.
Okay, Greg, talk about the next 2 weeks. I know that it's kind of like a Northeast tour, so to speak. To go from a track like this, then to Watkins Glen, quite a change, quite a contrast. Talk about that and the challenges that exist with that, and then also the excitement of going to another road course.
Yeah, I really like road course racing. I like the Glen. I like that racetrack. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of success there, what I call success. You know, we've qualified outside front row, and it's got some good finishes. I've won there in the trucks. It's definitely a fun racetrack, and I'm excited about these next races coming up. How good we're running, and how we feel like we've closed in on the competition. But it's I always look forward to going to a road course. That's really been our best finish this year, is when we went to Sonoma, and we're kind of heads up with the competition, so to speak, because we hadn't got the car attitude and aero all figured out yet. So that was a nice change. So I'm looking forward to going back to another road course.
We'll go Chris, Steve, and end with Al. Go ahead, Chris.
Greg, Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Mark Martin announced this week that he's coming back to Roush Fenway Racing. From a performance standpoint, can he still help with that picture at Roush Fenway, even though he's been out of the seat for a while?
Yeah, I think he's going to look like a hero right now because, as has been well documented, we've not been where we wanted to be this season. Last 2 weeks, we've closed in on this thing, what I'm going to call a huge amount. When we unloaded here today and have that kind of speed, I haven't had, like I said, I haven't drove a car like that in a year. The race isn't over yet, but and so Mark's just starting to get back into the swing of things. So I think this, we're really going to turn our competition around in the next 10 weeks or from here to the end of the season, I think. And that could have Mark's name on it, actually, from a 10,000-foot view. But he does still can bring knowledge and information and an outside perspective, I think, can help us, continue to try and focus on areas we need to work in.
Steve Richards of PRN. Greg, with Carl leaving, have you thought about or started to think about your role as the clear leader of Roush Fenway, the face that a lot of the media guys will come to, since you've got 2 other younger guys on the team that you'll be, up and out front all the time, or most of the time?
Yeah. I was going to make a joke and say I've always been a clear leader there, but it didn't sound as funny after I listened to your talk. But I think when Matt left, we had that same thing. Who is it? It's Carl or Greg, and it's funny. So we did an interesting analysis of, my finishes and wins and performance over the last 3 years compared to his, and it's a pretty interesting stat to look at. But Carl's has been a great teammate and still brings a lot to our organization, even here today. We're looking at his setup. He's a 10th or 2 faster in qualifying trim, and that's going to be an asset that's going to be missed. But, I'm ready to spend more time at the shop and try and help this organization get faster. And we've worked really hard for the last month and have gained tremendously on it. So I look forward to, kind of carrying the flag and leading this organization. None of us are happy right now, but we're getting a heck of a lot better. I feel really good today. I can tell you that.
Final question, Al.
Hey, Greg, Al Pierce from Auto Week. A few minutes ago, Casey Kane was in here, and he said that nobody would drive differently toward Richmond than they would any other time of the year. Is that really the case, or the closer you get to the last qualifying race to make the chase, do things change a little bit?
Well, and that's been the discussion all along, is what would you do for a win? I would do anything for a win, right? But I'm running, last week I'm running 13th. There isn't a damn thing I can do to get from 13th to the front. You know what I mean? And now, so the particular instance you're talking about is Casey going to try and move Jeff out of the way for the win. Or so you're only talking about one guy per race that's going to have an opportunity to try and better his finish, because the guy in fourth can't do anything to win from fourth unless he just shucks the other three. Can get to him for one. If you can get to him, normally you can pass him. So it's kind of, we're already running 105%. We're running as hard as we can every single lap to get every position. So there's not a lot else left in the tank to try and win or push harder than if you're in second place and you're having the final restart beside the guy. You know. So that's the only guy that so there's, you know, if there's 6 races left, that's 6 opportunities for whoever that one guy might be. And, you know, I think you will get desperate if that guy doesn't have a win. He's going to do whatever he can to try and win.
If your team makes enough progress between now and Richmond to put you in that place.
Yeah, if I'm running second at Richmond, the guy in front of me better watch out. Yep. When it's coming down to the end of it, if I can get to him.
Is that understood and kind of accepted?
Well, I mean, it takes, I've always said all along, it doesn't take any skill to wreck a guy. It takes skill to, you know, bump him, move him out of the way a little bit, get a run on him, loosen him up. It doesn't take any skill just to drive through him.